Vibrant Living with Bayou Yoga. I'm your host, Wendy Hassenflug, with my co-host. And this show is about learning how to truly live your life fully and completely. My passion lies with teaching other people how to make mind-body-spirit connections that lead to healthier patterns and enhance their lives in a positive way. Our program today is about mindful parenting and yoga. We're going to talk about what it means to be a perfect parent, some communication tools to strengthen your bond with your kids, how to revisit your parenting style, and how yoga can help parents feel more calm, centered, compassionate, and confident. You won't want to miss any part of our show today. Before we get started today, I'd like to get all of you in a more mindful state of being. So here's your first tool for today, and this is a little tool from me on the yoga side. So stop what you're doing. Obviously, if you're driving, please keep driving. Be safe about that. But if you are listening to us in an office or at home or somewhere where you can stop, just give me 1 minute here. So stop what you're doing. Place everything down. Close your laptops. Place your hands in your lap, and then just place your feet on the ground. Step 1, just close your eyes. And notice your breath. So this is the only time that when I'm doing my show that it's fun to have quiet time and dead silence on the air. But I want you to really bring your focus to that breath. And on your inhale, I want you to inhale and silently think of the words, I am. And as you exhale, I want you to think of the word here. And do that one more time. Inhaling, I am. And exhaling, here. And then just blink open the eyes. So that's a really nice tool to just bring yourself to a more present state of being. And you can see that it didn't take more than a minute to do that. My guest today, Roma Khetarpal, is the author, I can't speak, let me try that again, take 2, author of The Perfect Parent, 5 Tools for Using Your Inner Perfection to Connect with Your Kids. Well, she's going to share some really helpful tips, and I'm just intrigued by it. While I'm not a parent, I did raise my sisters, being the oldest of 5, and I'm just intrigued to read her book, which is coming out soon, and we'll talk about that later. I'm jumping ahead. But if you're a parent today, you really face lots of pressures. You really want to work on, you're trying to get everything exactly right, and you have this pursuit of perfection that probably makes parenting feel pretty hard. Roma's going to explain the key to fulfilling the parenting experience and stop chasing ideals of what it's like to be a parent. And that's not going to all happen in one radio show. We're going to give you little excerpts, but the book definitely leads you deeper into it. So I'd like to share a little bit about my guest, Roma Khetarpal. I've known Roma for about 8 years now, and I can't believe I had to count the other night as I was writing this out and thinking of my notes for today. I'm like, 8 years already? Wow. We met through a mutual friend and personal trainer who's no longer with us, a wonderful soul, and he referred Roma to me, and we've been working together on personal training, Pilates, yoga, and more importantly, life for those 8 years. Roma's the founder and CEO of Tools of Growth, where she helps parents raise kids to be happy, think positive, and do good. She leads parenting classes, also community outreach. She writes articles, reviews, and blog posts. Her company, Tools of Growth, actually provides parents with simple, easy-to-remember, and effective communication tools that can help them build a strong foundation and relationship with their kids. She, along with her beautiful family, and are longtime residents of Santa Clarita here locally. Roma's here with us now, and I'd like to welcome her.
Hi, Wendy. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Roma, your book is titled The Perfect Parent, 5 Tools for Using Your Inner Perfection. And I think the question that comes to mind when I've told people about my show today, the first thing that comes to mind is actually they giggle when I say the perfect parent. And so I think it's interesting to
Yes.
What are you giggling about? Where's that coming from? And I think it's, what does the word perfect really mean?
Exactly.
So I'm going to give that to you.
Perfect. Well, perfect. Yeah, it's a very commonly used word, and I think that when we use that word in our day-to-day language, it just means what it is. We use it perhaps not with the intent that we should. When you think about parenting, though, and you attach that word perfect to parenting, all of a sudden we have this big load upon ourselves. Every parent strives for perfection, whether we like it or not. Internally, we're all trying to do the best that we can. We're trying to be that quote-unquote perfect parent, which is exactly what the title of the book is. And really what I'd like to do with this book is bring home that message that you already are perfect just the way you are. And I'm not going to give away too much of the introduction on this show because obviously I'd like for everyone to get the book and read about the tools. But really, we all have that inner perfection within us. And that's what the message in this book encourages you to bring forth, that inner perfection that's part of each one of us and that we can easily share with our kids on a day-to-day basis.
Nice. I think it is important to maybe just ask yourself as a listener, what does the word perfect mean to you? And then if you put parent on the end of that, what are your ideas of a perfect parent, whether it be who raised you and your parents, and that's where your mind goes to first, whether they were perfect or not. And then, how you are raising your children and realizing that those children grow up to be adults, but there's still a relationship there. As you said, I'm going to quote you from our last meeting, parenting is the most important job you will ever have and the longest job. And absolutely. I mean, you don't just parent them until they leave the house to go to college and then you're done.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's changing.
It's a lifetime.
It's a lifetime. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
it is a lifetime. And it's, and we only have this one lifetime with these children, right? So I truly believe that if we can really harness the moments that we have with our kids. And it's easy to say for me to sit here, on a radio show and say, let's all be mindful parenting. Let's all be mindful parents, But when you're in the day-to-day with the kids, you're in the heat of the moment, we all need tools. I needed help. You need help. We all need that help to be the best that we can be for our kids. As science will tell you, neuroplasticity plays a big role with raising our kids. We can always be open to change. Why? Because our kids, they mirror our behavior. And in that, if we're open to that change, if we're open to being more mindful, to be more present with our children, then obviously they're going to get the best of that.
I absolutely agree.
Well said. And I think it's just changing the idea of what perfection is. Mm-hmm. It's not making mistakes.
Absolutely.
It's understanding that you're really doing the best that you can on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis.
Absolutely.
Coming up, get ready for a parenting makeover. We're going to reveal some very useful tips to help you strengthen the bond with your kids when we get back. You're listening to Vibrant Living with Vayu Yoga. For more information about our yoga studio, Vayu Yoga, visit us at www.vayuyoga.com or stop by our studio at the corner of 8th and Main in Old Town New Hall. I'm Wendy Hassenflug on your hometown station, AM1220 KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to Vibrant Living with Vayu Yoga. I'm Wendy Hassenflug with my co-host,
Shannon Levy-Heath,
on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. We're talking about mindful parenting and yoga. My guest today is the author of The Perfect Parent and founder and CEO of Tools of Growth, Roma Khetarpal. In our last segment, we talked about the pressure for parents to be perfect, the concept of what perfect means, and I'd like to kind of move into the pressures that come from that and talk about what can we do about that. So the pressures that we have in trying to be this perfect parent or be whatever it is that we think we need to be in our parenting skills really can lead towards things like doubt or anxiety or fear or worry, and they're going to obviously be negative effects that we have on the way that we're actually parenting and perhaps affecting our kids in return, right? Because we talked about what comes around goes around. So, Roma, what effect can pressures have on our interactions with our kids?
Wendy, I'll take a little step back to the emotions that you talked about. Mm-hmm. Guilt is a big one. Of those, guilt is a very big one. Perhaps, at least in my eyes, is one of the biggest emotions, negative emotions that a parent constantly deals with. And, when you tread that negative emotion path, if you will, for too long, we all know what sort of effect that has on our bodies, whether it's with our interaction with the kids and it affects our relationship, not just with the kids. You can take that into the workplace. It extends out like tentacles into the rest of your life. You start to have negative attitudes towards perhaps other ventures that you're involved in. Your health gets affected. So I really believe as a whole person, when you harbor a lot of those negative feelings at your center, they branch out and they go into the different walks of life.
Yes, absolutely.
Guilt, blame.
Right.
Yes,
shame.
Exactly. Shame, yeah.
And from a yogic standpoint, being a yoga teacher, we harbor all of that in our bodies, physically, emotionally, mentally. And so that's, again, where, I know that I'm constantly talking about yoga. This is a show about yoga, too. But it is my life. It's a lifestyle. It's not just an exercise that I do once a day. And so being able to bring that idea of when I do my physical asana practice, I'm working through physical parts of that doubt, that anxiety, that fear, to where, once I've worked through that tension physically, now I can start to deal with the emotional side of it or the mental side of it. Do you think parents are chasing certain ideals?
I really think that it's not a conscious decision, Wendy. I think that, nobody consciously says that, I want to chase perfection. But just environmentally, it sort of becomes second nature to us. There's so much pressure on parents today, and children, for that matter. I mean, look at all the activities any one child is involved in. And obviously, monkey see, monkey do, children are going to hear from other kids how fun it is to be on the baseball team and in dance practice and taekwondo and, and everything else that goes with it. And there you are, children ask parents, conform. They say, all right, let's get you in those classes. The next thing you know, your schedule is packed to the point where it's almost detrimental to not just the parent-child relationship, because now you're running from place to place trying to really make it work within a given, 24-hour day and minus 8 hours of sleep,
If you can get your 8 hours.
If you can get 8 hours, exactly. And this is all over and above their academic commitments. This is all over and above their daily homework routines. And with parents, most parents are working. Other than that, you've got the responsibilities of a home, laundry, groceries, food, this, that, and the other. So really, I think subconsciously, just because of the way the environment is, we start to chase that. I want to do this also for my kid. So-and-so's in this. I really want to do this for my child. My child really wants it. I should comply. I should. They're really interested in it. And so I think that does put a lot of pressure on parents. And that's where a lot of the pitfalls come in. That's where a lot of the emotional outbursts come in and the clashes come in. And I think that's when parents react impulsively and they react emotionally in little situations. Had they taken little time to really sit and sort out those situations, they would not have ended up where they were. And then, of course, that comes with all the guilt. Any time I think that you hurt yourself with something, we're able to put it in perspective much quicker. But when your child is in the picture, that's when we start to harbor, exactly. That's when we start to harbor that guilt, that doubt. Did I say the right thing? Did I do the right thing? I shouldn't have said this. And circling back to the topic that we talked about in the previous segment, how that manifests in your body. That really affects all of us. So yes, there is a lot of pressure, to be that perfect parent. But truly, in essence, we all have those elements of inner perfection right within us. And if we just take a few things off the plate and harness those tools, then we can make a world of a difference in the relationship that we have with our children and how that plays out into both lives, into the children's lives and into our lives.
So now that we have your attention on relating to what we're talking about today, I want to share one of the tools, and there are many in her book, and we can't share the whole book today, obviously, or you won't buy the book and read it yourself and use it, on your own. But I think the most important one that we're going to focus on today is the honorable parenting. Yeah. So let's touch a little bit on what that means.
Sure. Honorable parenting, Wendy, is first and foremost being able to honor yourself as a parent. And being able to accept and respect. What does the word honor really mean? Very, very simply, it means being able to accept yourself for who you are, your own parenting style, which might be different than your siblings. Parents brought up in the same household have completely different parenting styles. And a lot of it is based on environment. And then some of it is based, and of course, I shouldn't say some, but most of it is based on your child. And because we all are so unique and individual with our DNA and who we are, I think the first tool in honorable parenting, within honorable parenting, is to accept and respect yourself. and then to accept and respect your child. Within accepting and respecting, this is not just about who you are, but it's also about how you feel. And I have a really great tool in there called Dealing with the Feeling, which has stemmed from this amazing research that we have on emotional intelligence with pioneers like, Daniel Goleman, John Gottman. They've talked about the importance of emotional intelligence in a child's world, both for academic success and personal life success. So what I've done is taken those wonderful tools that I'm so grateful to have from them and perhaps just distill them a little bit so they become a little more digestible. And I call it Dealing with the Feeling. And the 3 steps of dealing with the feeling are spot it, say it, okay it. And it's important to do that for yourself when you're in a dilemma with your kids or with any situation that you might have, and also to help the kids do that. And again, circling back to what we were talking about on our break, our children, they mirror who we are. Mm-hmm. They mirror what we do, because parenting is really not something that you aspire to be. It's who you are. It's who we are. And in that, being able to address our feelings, ours and our children's, I think that surpasses everything else. And that's the one facet that will help strengthen the parent-child relationship in the long term.
I think all of that is so interesting to hear, because it is so related to what I am teaching as a yoga teacher. And, to be an honorable parent, and what you said was, I'm trying to word it exactly like you did, but finding your true self and taking care of yourself and honoring yourself and respecting yourself. And that's what I'm teaching on a daily basis. And that's what I'm trying to live in my own life as well, and putting myself first so that I have more to give to others. And when you nurture yourself in every way, whether it be the food that you eat, the activities that you do, everything, the way that you interact with people, it all affects, like we said, it's going to affect the way that we parent. It's going to affect the way that our kids, I don't know what would be the opposite of parenting. So if we're parenting the kids, what are they doing to us? We might talk about that in the next segment. Yeah. But there should be a word. We need to put a word for that. It's kidding. No, that doesn't work.
That's cute.
Just kidding.
Giving back. Just kidding.
Well,
Kidding around.
I'm almost feeling as if the first person we need to parent honorably is ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because if we don't take care of ourselves, we don't have much to give.
This is true. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, that is at the core of mindful parenting. That's at the heart of being an honorable parent. So kudos to you for finding that out.
Unusual parenting situation. So I had challenges come up in parenting my husband and I that, other people who have adopted children from out of this country and older children, we're certainly not the only people who've had those challenges, but they're different challenges when you adopt older children.
Sure.
Yeah. And it's these differences that we have to learn to honor. This is part of honorable parenting.
Right.
It's part of accepting and respecting who we are and accepting and respecting our kids. And, to accept your kids is one thing, but to actually respect who they are really puts you at a whole different platform of growth with your child. We're constantly trying to help our children grow, but more importantly, honorable parenting is about helping yourself grow as well, so that you can nurture
growing
that whole
alongside
relationship.
them.
Exactly, growing alongside that, exactly.
So if you're just joining us, we're talking about mindful parenting and yoga with the author of The Perfect Parent, Roma Khetarpal. Roma, can you tell us when your book comes out? Just give us a little excerpt of when we can start to find it.
Sure, absolutely. The book is available for pre-order online right now. On Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and, your independent bookstores. However, the book will be published. The official pub date is October 1st, 2014.
Yeah. So we'll talk more about that in our next segments. I'm Wendy Hasenflug on your hometown station, AM1220 KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to Vibrant Living with Bayou Yoga. I'm Wendy Hasenflug with my co-host
Shannon Levy-Heath
on your hometown station AM1220 KHTS. Today we're talking about mindful parenting and yoga. Roma, you had mentioned just to clarify, I don't think I said in this segment that my guest is Roma Khetarpal. So, Roma, you mentioned that there are ways to revisit and evolve your parenting style, and one of those tools that you talked about was dealing with the feeling. Mm-hmm. Can you just remind us what that meant again?
Sure. Dealing with the feeling is a take of emotional intelligence. It basically helps you put your emotions into perspective. And these 3 simple steps that are involved in dealing with the feeling are something that you can do with yourself as well as with your children. And the simple steps are spot it, say it, okay it. And since we're dealing with the feeling here, so obviously this is all in reference to the feeling. So, for example, let's do a live example, say with your child. Your child is upset. The child is 4 years old and he's just having a tantrum, and you're trying to calm him down and really put this issue to at least a point where you can try to move to the next step of resolve. So dealing with the feeling applied there would be spot it, spot the feeling that they are feeling at that point, say it out loud. So say, for example, Gary, I know you're really angry right now. So angry, you've spotted the feeling and you're saying it out loud. And then okay it. So that's the third step. Spot it, say it, okay it. I completely understand that. I would be angry too if my brother broke my car. However, let's talk about this and let's see how we can all help you feel better. So first come give mommy a hug, and you kind of go from there. And as you apply dealing with the feeling, you'll really start to see that change within yourself, where you have prepared your own emotional platform to deal with the child's feelings. And the minute you start, you put that into action, you'll start to see the child calming down as well. Communication, Wendy, and I teach this in the book as well. Communication has 3 important facets. It's your thoughts, feelings, and expressions. And when all those 3 are aligned, that's when communication is optimum. It's at its very best. Now, obviously, if we were to take this particular example, you're trying to appeal to a child's intellect. You're trying to make them think about their behavior, about them throwing a fit, if you will. However, because the feeling, so we got thoughts, feelings, and expression, because the feeling plane is out of balance, they're emotionally hurt, they're angry, you really can't get them to display the right expressions. So really in thoughts, feelings, and expressions, that balance is when perfect communication comes through with the children. And so if you turn the volume down on the emotions, if you turn the temperature down on the emotions by really just talking it out, and obviously they're too upset at this point to be able to put it in perspective themselves, so you having that mindfulness, that awareness, that presence of mind to walk them through their own emotions really will help turn that volume down and help you, open up that channel of communication and communicate better with your child.
That's wonderful, truly. I love that, because I think we can get so caught up in the moment of emotion or situation or reaction, action, reaction, and all that that's an amazing tool, and it's great to hear it. It's one thing to implement it, and it's probably going to take practice to do it.
Absolutely,
but wonderful tool. And I think that kind of leads us into what you call the teach-learn relationship.
Exactly. It's really important for parents to keep in mind that yes, we're teachers to our children. Yes, we are here to teach them, to guide them, to be that leader for them. We play this huge leadership role. However, we learn a lot from our children as well. They really have taught us what the meaning of unconditional love is. They have taught us patience. They have taught us to love deeper than we had ever imagined. They've taught us to be able to put a smile on our face despite 1 hour of sleep a night. There's so many things, the resilience, so many things that we learn from our children. And really, we really think we never put enough value on that. We never really think about what the kids give us in return on a day-to-day basis. We just sort of take that leadership role and say, all right, follow me. This is the way it's supposed to be done. You're going to be doing this for the day. And yes, bringing that structure, that presence of a parent in a child's life is what this beautiful relationship is all about. However, keeping in mind what we learn from our children is part of that accept and respect that we talked about in honorable parenting in the previous segment. And really, the value of that cannot be undermined. They are our teachers as much as we are theirs. They have really helped our personalities evolve as much as, if not more, and at least I can speak for myself, if not more. If it wasn't for my children, I don't think that I would be who I am today. Really, and who I was when I birthed these kids is very different than who I am today thanks to them.
It's really remarkable to look at the world through a child's eyes, and I'm doing that now through my grandson's eyes, because everything is new to them. And we forget how marvelous the world can be when we forget the child in ourselves. So it's lovely to relive it through our children.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's an opportunity that we get in every phase of their growth, every stage of their growth. If we are willing to take that step back, and this is what the book is packed with tools to help you do that. Very, very simple, easy, mindful tools to help you do that.
There's one more tool I want to touch on, but I'm gonna make everybody wait to the next segment. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about
You're giving away the book, Wendy.
I know. No, there's plenty to read.
I'm happy to share.
But yoga in this picture really will teach us as parents and the adult in the situation until they become adults themselves to observe our own thoughts and feelings. It creates a deeper body awareness, and it makes us more mindful, present, and true to ourselves. And so when that occurs, then we are in a more present state of being as we leave our yoga practice, as we step off of our mat, as we go into our day. And this is why yoga is meant to be done every single day. I mean, if you have even 15 minutes to do a physical practice or a breathing practice or a meditation practice, just that 15 minutes can be so valuable, especially for a parent that needs 14 hours to be able to do something like that in their mind, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that the more you get your body used to and aligned with, in tune with that center, being present, being mindful as one does with yoga. And I've seen this for myself, Wendy. You and I've worked together for a very long time on, it's by aerial yoga. As that was sort of what took me as a parent, even not just as a human being, but as a parent, took me understanding my center to that next level. Once you're in tune with that, regularly and consistently, then while you're parenting, you're able to jump back into that feeling, quicker, sooner. So I really think that you can't really, it's a priceless, yoga is a priceless tool to mindful parenting.
Yeah, it really, for me, it's about, the brain never turns off. Even when we're sleeping, our brain is still going. So a part of yoga is teaching us how to not be so lost and distracted. And in today's society, that's a hard thing. And then you add kids to the picture, and you've got so much stuff going on all the time. How do you find stillness without just passing out and going to sleep?
Sure, absolutely.
So, by learning to focus, concentrate, and be more mindful, it's easier to accept difficult emotions or separate intention from outcome or to foster compassion in ourselves during difficult times. And I think that's, one of the big tools that yoga provides, along with, some of the wonderful things that we're talking about today. They're a great combination. I wish I had been a part of writing the book. I could have put little yoga excerpts in there, but you have affirmations in each chapter. So there is a little yoga.
I do affirmations, reminders at the end of each chapter. And there's also a perfect parent toolbox. And just to let all of you listeners know that the word perfect is in quotations for a reason, so it's not just the perfect parent just the way it is. It's in quotations. So the emphasis is on accessing your inner perfection, on knowing that you are perfect just the way you are.
We've been talking with the author of The Perfect Parent, Roma Khetarpal, and we've been talking about mindful parenting and yoga. Her book is going to come out in October. We're going to talk more specifics about where, but it is actually already available for pre-sale on Barnes and Noble,
Barnes and Noble,
and Amazon. I beat both
independent
of those.
bookstores.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And Wendy, just to add to that, the title is The Perfect Parent: 5 Tools for Using Your Inner Perfection to Connect with Your Kids. So that's sort of the subtitle that goes with the book.
Nice. You're listening to Vibrant Living with Vayu Yoga. For more information about Vayu Yoga, visit us at our studio on Main Street in Old Town Newhall or online at VayuYoga.com. I'm Wendy Hassenflieg on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to Vibrant Living with Vayu Yoga. I'm Wendy Hassenflieg with my co-host,
Shannon Levy-Heath,
on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Today we've been talking about mindful parenting and yoga. I'd like to share just a few tips for parents to foster in their yoga practice, both on and off their mat. The thing about yoga is there's practices we do on the mat, but they're also transferable off the mat, and there's things we can do off the mat. We don't necessarily need a studio or a yoga mat to do a yoga practice. So the first one is ahimsa. Ahimsa is pretty much maintaining compassion for yourself and for others. And if I were to translate that, I were to say it was just be kind and treat all things with care. Do unto others as you would like done unto you. An example when it comes to parenting, when my mom was raising me, I was the oldest of 5. I was only allowed to go to McDonald's for a long time. And the reason for that was because until I could show her that I could be good in public, we weren't allowed to go anywhere that was like a sit-down restaurant. And so I was kind of raised with this mentality of, when we go out, it's special and it's not, just this everyday thing. And so, teaching our kids how to be good in public and how it affects the behavior of people around us. I was taught to use an indoor voice and to stay seated in my chair and politely wait for everybody to finish at the table. And, these are ways that we can practice compassion, to be constantly vigilant in that and observe ourselves in interaction with others.
Wendy, I reminded myself, and I have this in the book as well, I reminded myself this when my kids were little all the time at those impressionable ages. When you're right, practice being kind first. It's interesting as parents, when we're right, we just tend to go at that. That tone of voice changes, your whole, right. Your command comes into play, and you start scolding the kids, and especially if you're in public, you really want to, if you want to be that best parent that you are, it's about respecting them in public. If you want them to respect you in public, and I think that's such an important part of being an honorable parent. So really, to all you parents out there, when you go through those challenges, when you're right, by all means, do what you need to do. Head the kids in the right direction, but practice being kind first.
Yeah. And taking that to the yoga mat, physically, having compassion for yourself and nurturing yourself in your practice, knowing what your limits are and not making it boring for yourself, but challenging yourself just enough, but also learning when to back off to nurture that compassion and that ahimsa. The second tool I'd like to share is satya, and this is practicing truth. And that's more than just simply speaking the truth and saying the truth. It's, parents look so eagerly forward to their child's first words, and then before long, they can't wait for them to learn about quiet time. Right? Let's play the quiet game.
So true.
And our words really have so much potential. They can do so much, whether it's good or bad, and we need to choose them correctly to inspire. Think about how it feels when someone speaks from satya or truth. Those words really resonate with us. Mm-hmm. And when we hear the truth, a part of us feels comfort, and we feel at home from the inside out. Absolutely. And this encourages us to act from a place of virtue within ourselves.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
To live your truth as well.
Absolutely.
By example.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, that circles back to being, to honoring yourself, And when you honor yourself, it becomes very... you become transparent. Your children are able to see through that. They're able to read through that. And they mirror us. So you're actually doing yourself a service and them as well.
Well, that's scary. Transparent? That would bring a lot of stuff up. Maybe that's kind of scary. My third tool that I'd like to share is practicing moderation, or brahmacharya. One of the most precious and non-renewable sources or resources is time. And we can often rob ourselves of it, or those around us of it, if we are not respectful of others' time. By learning to make the best of our own time, managing it better, we're going to teach our kids to respect other people's time as well, and the time that they have with one another, with other kids, with their family, with themselves. So examples of how to do that: show up ahead of time instead of right on the dot.
Sure.
Give yourself time to get there ahead of time. Then you're less stressful as you're getting to where you're going to, and you arrive there early and you're more ready and prepared for what it is that you're taking on. This teaches our children that time really is a valuable resource. And, the more we respect that, the more we're going to respect and not just respect, but understand the quality time we have together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. In the second chapter of the book, the second tool, which is approachable parenting. Am I giving away the second one as well?
Oops.
I talk about a tool called Take 5. And Take 5 is about being able to take those 5 minutes with your kids. I get asked this a lot. Is Take 5 like punishment?
Right.
Is
it a timeout?
Is it like a timeout?
Yeah.
Exactly. You asked me that
Yes.
too. No, Take 5 is a timeout to connect. It's a timeout to really, really connect with your kids with nothing on the agenda. Just 5 minutes a day. So I really, I think that you can't really undermine the value of time. Yes.
And I think you said there's no agenda to that. That's important. It's not just, 5 minutes watching a TV show together,
Yes.
or, 5 minutes playing a game together.
Yes.
It's 5 minutes with no agenda whatsoever.
And I call it 5 minutes of no thing. Nothing.
I love it.
No thing. I call it, I call it that time to do no thing with your child, just to sit there. And I have example after example in all my parenting classes when parents actually put that into practice, and it takes them a little while to, you ask a 13-year-old and say, we're going to sit there for 5 minutes and do no thing. They're looking at you like, what's wrong with mom today, right? But what's come out of those conversations, and many of those examples are cited in the book, are phenomenal. It just, what empty time or space does, it really opens up a dialogue between parent and child that could have to do with something that's harboring within the child from their day, that they're skeptical about, they're finding the right time to talk about, or they're skeptical about even discussing with their parents. And when you give that open space, that open time to do that no thing with your child, and it could be sitting in the backyard, it could be anything. And I remember when my daughter Natasha was little and we took, the 5 minutes, she asked me, Mom, who makes the rules for you? And I thought to myself, well, that's a really good question. She says, I know you make my rules, but who makes the rules for you? And instinctively I said,
profound.
God. I said God, because I don't know. I didn't know what else to say, right? Well, I make my own rules because then I know she's going to say, well, I want to make my own too, right?
Right.
So I said, God. And she said, I really want God to make my rules too. And I thought to myself, okay, where's the smart one going with this? And I said, oh, that's interesting. Why do you think that? And she said, well, because Grandma says when God talks in a silent voice. Oh. And when you remind me of rules, you're always talking in a loud voice. And I said, really, like how? And she said, you need to pick up. How many times have I told you to pick up your toys? How many times have I told you to get your homework done? And I thought to myself, wow. She is so right. So that's when really, that Take 5 left a big impression in my mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was told by my younger daughter that I have a teacher voice. Oh, you're turning your teacher voice on.
Instructional. Exactly.
The bottom line is that our children want us to model behaviors for them, and they want to aspire to be like us.
Yes.
They're looking at us to show them how to live life more vibrantly and joyfully. And there are many tools we shared today, and there's many more in Roma's book and in a yoga practice. Yoga really helps parents transform their parenting strategies from the inside out, teaching you to take your yoga mat or your yoga practice off the mat and into your life, and focusing on yourself as a foundation so that it helps improve the relationship and the changing growth of your relationship with your child.
Absolutely. And Wendy, parenting is the longest job we'll ever do. It's the most important job we'll ever do. I really think we owe it to ourselves and our children to do it well.
Absolutely. My guest today was Roma Khetarpal, the author of the book, The Perfect Parent, 5 Tools for Oh, I have a typo there. For using your
Inner
I said
perfection.
suing. That's not right at all. Let me take that again. Take two. I can't take two. I'm live. The Perfect Parent, 5 tools for using your inner perfection. She includes wonderful affirmations and tools about how to transform your parenting. Her book is available starting October 1st. She'll be doing a book signing at the Barnes & Noble here at Santa Clarita on October 10th at 7 p.m. And then she's also doing an educator reception speaking engagement on Thursday, the 16th of October at 4:30 p.m. That's at Barnes & Noble as well.
Absolutely.
Up here.
Absolutely.
Yes. You can pre-order her book currently on Amazon or Barnes & Noble if you don't want to wait. And you can also find Roma online at
www.toolsofgrowth.com.
toolsofgrowth.com. Roma, it was such an honor to have you on the show today. I'm
Wendy,
so grateful
to have you. It was an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And namaste. I just want to finish by saying that to you, my dear, because we normally do say that
and
to one
thank you,
each other.
Shannon.
Thank you.
So, Vayu Yoga, we're located down at the corners of 8th and Main Street in Old Town Newhall. And if you're interested in anything that we worked on today and you want to see how to take your parenting to the next level, then please join us down at Vayu Yoga. I was going to say at Old Town Newhall. But we're located on the web if you have any questions, or just come see us. We're at VayuYoga.com. That's our show for today. Thank you so much for listening. We take place on the second and third Tuesday of each month. This is Vibrant Living with Vayu Yoga. And I'm Wendy Hassenflug on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.